Hello, this is Easy, and I got this plugin that you can try, and it will be below the video. I'll show you how to install the plugin and a few things about it. We're going to start off very simple and very basic, and towards the end of the video I'll go over some troubleshooting and some other stuff. Before we get started, I am using ZBrush 4R7P3, so make sure you have that. And if we go to the Z plugin, you'll see there we have the decimation master, which you'll probably want to use before you even start anything. Okay, we want to decimate it before that. This is installed in ZBrush, and when we finish, we'll use the 3D printer export. Okay, and this plugin here is located right here for right now. It's called the 3D printer SliceR. Okay. Now, this is designed for screen resolution 1920 by 1080. If you do not have this, I will have another zip file that you can download, and you'll have to edit it. And I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of the video. So let's get started, and I'm going to go over a few things of what this is and what it does. What this plugin does will allow you to slice up your models to make it even larger. I am using the Robo 3DR1 Plus printer. This is my first printer and I love it. Alright, I wanted to make my model larger. This circle here on the bed is 8 inches by 8 inches. The circle on the floor is almost 2 feet wide by 2 feet tall. Way larger than the bed. The way that I made this is I had to slice it up. I'll click into the next picture and show you. As you can see, it's got individual pieces here. Now actually, one of these pieces right here, since I divide this up, I think it was 8 times, just for that one piece there, the time to print it took almost the same time to print this whole circle, so keep that in mind. Once you get done, you can glue them together, whatever. This is the polymesh star from ZBrush. The bed is, where the star here is like 8 inches, and the star down here in the bottom is 16. Almost double, well, it did double the size. Now, here it is separated. You can glue them together, whatever it takes. Now, here is the star that I made a mold of. Okay, there's going to be an option in the plug-in here to make molds. Alright, these molds are really nice to have. You want to make these things precise because you can reuse these over and over again without having to do any kind of 3D printing. Like I said, I did just half the mold here. When I get done, I'll make the other half, and once I get the mold together, I'll probably drill a hole somewhere on the top or bottom, and that way my liquid would go through and fill in the star. For example, if I wanted to, let's say, put some jello in here, make jello molds, that would be great. But keep in mind, some of these filaments, you need to make sure that whatever you put in there is safe for what you're doing. I would want to, since I'm putting some type of food in here and I'm going to eat it, I would want to make sure this was food safe, you know. And on top of that, if there was any kind of loose over filaments hanging in here, I'd make sure I clean them up. And there is certain filaments that will expand and extract once they're mixed together if they're two parts, so make sure anything that you do is safe for what you're doing. I hold no responsibility of what you do, but you know, this is like common sense. Always check before you do something. Alright, below the video I'll have some zip files that you can download, and you need to download the one or install the one that's according to your screen resolution, because if you don't, this won't work properly. I got this one set up, as you can see here, it's for the screen resolution 1920 by 1080. Alright, that should work for you if you got that screen resolution. If you don't, you're going to have to use this edit one. It's called ZBrush 4R7. Okay, remember it says edit. And I'm going to show you how to do that one later, okay, because you're going to have to do a little tweaking on that one. Alright, I'm going to show you how to install this one here. It's called the 1920 by 1080 in the plugin. And you'll follow the same rules if you install the edit one, but you'll have different names. Alright, I'm using 64-bit, so you need to follow out where your plugin folder is going to be at. And one thing that you really need to know, there's only going to be like the ZSC file that you will install right here. And mine's over at 64, so if you don't have 64, it won't be in there, but make sure it's in your plugin folder. And also make sure this folder is in here. Okay, you'll have a folder and a ZSC file. When you start ZBrush and looking in the Z plugin, you will see this one called 3D Print Slicer Easy Print Slicer. Alright, this is what we're going to be using, and I'm going to show you about the plugin. But before I get started with this, keep in mind I am using ZBrush 4 R7 P3. Okay, very important that you have this to make sure everything is somewhat identical to what I'm doing. And by default, it's got other plugins in here that you may need to use if you want before you start using the SliceR. Okay, you will do this in order. Okay, if I was wanting to decimate this, my object, I would do this first. Okay, I'm not going to go over to Decimation Master. Then when I'm finished with my slicing, I will go to the 3D Print Exporter, then export my print. Okay, I'm not going to go over that. I'm going to go over options over here in the plugin. Alright, we have this button over here called tall, and we got one here called wide. Alright, this is kind of like the setup. This is the first thing you need to do before you even get started for everything else to work. Alright, we need to determine if my model is taller or is it wider. What it means by is it's trying to find out which is more. Is it more taller or more wider? If you move your cursor over the button down here, it's going to say press here if your model height is more than your width or equal. What it means by equal is if I go to Lightbox here and I select a circle here, it's equal because the height and width are the same. Alright, I'm going to select here, and it loaded over here. We can drag it out and put it in edit mode or whatever, but we don't have to. We can go down here and press tall, okay, because the height and width are equal, and we're going to select it, and it's going to bring it out here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and scale this down here just so you can see a little bit better. What this does is sets it up on a grid. Okay, this grid represents your bed on your 3D printer. It's going to allow you to slice in inches. Okay, as you can see down here in the left hand corner, well, the cube or the square here represents an inch, so it'd be 1 inch at the bottom, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, 7 and 8 inches tall by 8 inches wide. Okay, so then we got the wide button here, and if we go to Lightbox here and select the demo head here, we needed to determine which is the most. Is it more wide or is it more tall? Well, it's more wide. Okay, now I need to press wide here and this will update. Okay, if you don't do this, some of the other buttons will not work correctly. Another thing is we have the eyes here, subtools. It's going to delete any subtools. So we're going to press wide, and it's going to do a few things here to correct a few problems, and it's going to bring it back here. One of the good things, or kind of the nifty things here, let's scale this down. When it brings it back on this bed here, which represents your print bed, it will not allow the mesh to exceed the outer edges of your print bed. So anytime that you slice it up and print something out, you'll know everything's going to fit within inside the print bed here. And keep in mind, anytime that you select anything different, you need to update it by selecting one of this one one of these buttons. So if I select something wide again, a different object, I would still need to press wide here again. I had paused the video and loaded something else, so if you've seen something change real quick, it's because I paused the video. Alright, as I said earlier, this grid represents your print bed only if the print bed is 8 by 8. Okay, I'm just gonna assume that, and this was kind of designed for 8 by 8, so this really can't tell you how big your print bed is or can read it, so I'm just kind of mimicking a print bed 8 by 8. Alright, let's go into the next step. Okay, we got these buttons over here. It's going to cut 3 inches down, 2 inches down, and 1. And the way this works is I'm going to start at 0. What this is going to do, it's going to start over here on the left, and it's going to cut all the way across at 0. Alright, this is where it cuts at 0. Then it cuts 1 inch up, which will be a cube 1 inch up. So if I cut it 0, it's going to cut it right in half. Alright, you're going to probably get some pop-ups first. Alright, and it cut the model right in the middle. I'm going to Control Shift click right here, and when it did that, it also closed the holes at the end of it. Okay, keep that in mind. Unhide that and frame that back. Okay. So what's the next ones to do? So if I press 1 here, okay, it says 1 inch up. So from the 0 here, 0 center where it just cut, it's going to cut 1 inch up. Select it here, and if we hide part of this mesh here, as you can see, it cut it 1 inch up. You can kind of get the pattern, the feel of it, just by clicking these and let it update, and it's going up. Okay, then you can see right there. Then the ones for down, let it update. You just keep on clicking these, you'll see what I'm talking about. So basically that's how that works. Alright, we're going to jump all the way over to paste right here. We're going to skip a couple right here. What this paste does is going to paste the tool that it started from. So basically, when you select one of these two first buttons up here, what this does is it copies the tool. And if you ever screw up, want to redo it, you have the option to paste the tool, or just come down here and paste it right here. So let's say I just want to start over there, cut it at 0, and I'll just rotate this 90. It's going to rotate it around. We'll cut it at 0, and then we got 4 halves. So basically, then if I want to rotate it at 45, it spins it at 45. Very simple. Basically, then same. This will do it from the top. I'll select it again, and this will let you allow to slice it wherever you want. Then we'll go ahead and switch this around. Then we get something like that. Now this sliced it up pretty good. When you're slicing, this will allow you up to, I think, 16 slices or 16 subtools. As you can see, there's no subtools because it's actually, you can't see them until I press group split. But when this plug-in, it's actually splitting these up, then putting them back together. But if it exceeds past 16 subtools, this thing will not work anymore. That should be more sufficient, is because if I added any more to the script, things get very slow. Alright, since we finished with this top row, we're going to go down to this left hand corner. Let's go ahead and press paste to kind of start back over. This is actually kind of like a macro. It's not quite a macro, and it's going to allow you to create slices that you want and maybe use on a different model. One of the things that I did is I'll show you right now. Hold on a second. it's kind of important, well not really important, is in this plugin folder over here. As you can see, I got the ZBrush 4R7 SliceR 1920 by 1080. I right clicked this and created a shortcut, then took the shortcut as when I got done and went back a little bit and I went to the Z script and pasted it right here, as you can see. I'm going to show you why I put it here, and because it saves you a lot of headache, and I'm going to show you right now. So we're going to go ahead and as you can see, it says play here and play here. So what this does, it's going to allow you to create a macro, and the way this is designed is the tall button on the top is going to represent the macro for the tall on the bottom. So if I load a model and it's tall, I want to use the tall macro. Alright, if I have a wide object, I want to create a macro for the wide, which would be the right button here. So how do I do this? Is I'm going to select a button in the middle. Okay, it's going to start and stop the macro. Alright, okay, let's say I'm going to do this from scratch. First thing I need to do is press tall or equal. So I'm going to press here. Alright, this must be done in order, okay? Or things could really mess up, okay? I don't want to start a macro until that is finished. Then once that's finished, then I'm going to start my macro by pressing the middle button here. It's going to ask me to analyze this, and I'm going to press no, okay? Okay, this is going to start my macro now. So what do I want this to do? I'm going to press anything that I want. Okay. And the trick here is, well, not the trick, is not to drag on the canvas and move anything around. It's all going to be done by the buttons. I'm going to rotate this and I'm going to cut this. Alright. Now I can use this on any other objects I use as long as I save this macro as tall. Alright, so for my tall object. So I'm going to press this button again, and it's going to ask me to save this. Okay, this is why I put this shortcut over here, because it always loads this up in the Z script thing here. So it's real easy to get through by clicking here. And I'm doing the one for the tall, so I'm going to overwrite this tall ZBrush macro. Whatever you do, do not overwrite this one here with a 1920 by 1080, else it will not work anymore. So I'm going to overwrite this one and press save. Alright, now I have a macro. So as you can see here, it says play. Okay, we're going to ignore that, and we can go to previous to load this one back up, or go back to the plugin and we'll load that back up. Now we have our macro says play. So let's say that I want to use the macro on something else. Lightbox. And let's try something else. So let's go over here and just select the sphere here, I guess. It's going to ask me for edit mode. I had paused the video, so I got the sphere loaded up. Let's make a Polymesh 3D. And once we do this, we're going to play this macro here. Okay, so we'll press play and give it a few seconds. And it's going to split it up in 4s like we had the other macro. And we can use this one here. And like I said, I switched this over, and typically I need to go ahead and restart that one just to show you to do it correctly. Then if I want to split this up again, I will use the macro according from tall to play on this side. The two left buttons match, the two right buttons match. Okay, and if we select something wide, we'll press the wide here. Give it a few seconds. Now if I want to make a macro for the wide, once this is always, as soon as this button's completed, then I make my macro by selecting the middle one. Then I'll save it with the right button over here, which will be for wide. Okay. Alright, we're going to go ahead and skip the split button here. I'm going to tell you the reason why in a second. As you notice, the close hose was always on. What that means is anytime that I press any of these buttons up here, it's going to slice it and close the hole. Okay, so if I do this, give it a few seconds. I'm going to hide part of this mesh. As you see, it closed the hole. Alright. Frame it back up. And I'm just going to paste the original one back. Now, if this is off, this does not close the hole. So if I do that and split it right in the center again, we get this. Okay, this is kind of optional. Alright, this is where the split comes in. What this does is anything that is not closed, it's going to close the holes to them all. Alright, give it a few seconds, let it update. Then it closes the holes. Let me go ahead and paste that model back here, and we'll go on to the next step here. Well, before I even go on the next step, remember, with this off right here, and you select any of these top buttons that slice it, they will slice it without closing the holes. You turn this on, you select any of the buttons up here, it's going to close the hole. Alright, we have this option here called snap. Okay. Sometimes when we're doing certain things, if the mesh is full, I'll just show you an example here. Let's go ahead and load this one up here and press tall. As we cannot see the grid very good because it's in the background, and I may need to see this grid a little bit better, so I would press snap. Okay, now I can see the grid, and I'm gonna see where my inches are at. If for some reason that you want to change the color of the grid, you can select the change color grid right here. Alright, goes from white to black, or kind of grayish. Let's go ahead and bring that back there, and you can see I can change it there, or bring it in the front to back. Alright, we're going to go into mode 1 and mode 2. Okay, let's say I did pause the video, so I switched to the demo head. I always need to go ahead and update one of these buttons here and make sure everything's going to work right again. And select here. Mode 1 and mode 2 is basically the same thing, but what it does is if it doesn't work one way, then press the next button, because sometimes it don't work correctly, so you just have to select the other one. So if I press mode 1, you'll know when it's working correctly. I'll just show you right now. Alright, you can see that I got the box on the left side, which is my mode, and the head over here. Not going to work for a mode because the head needs to be the other way. Okay, I'll give you a better example here in a second. So if that didn't work, we'll select here, the second one. And usually you could tell is when you can't see the other object. They all look as one. If I tip it, alright, this is going to be my mold here. Okay, this is the box, and this is the head. Okay, in the earlier video when I made the star here, I'll show you in a second, I made that a mold, and I made it just like this. In my SliceR program for my printing, I think I'm using Matters Control, you actually do not need to close the hole for this, right, for it to work. I think it's got an option called close polygon holes, and it works with this mesh just like this. Carding, if you look at the mesh here, the lips are, they go way in by the inside the mouth, probably wouldn't make a very good mode. And another thing is, when you are selecting these buttons here, every now and then something will not work. Okay, if you want to correct that, because it will get really big in your screen like that, just go ahead and use the scale option over here on the right and scale it down, and then just try these buttons again, because after a while it'll get real big and not work correctly. Alright, now let me show you how I did the star for the mold. Okay, here is the star mold that I made on the 3D printer here, and I'm going to show you how I did this. Very simple. And I'm going to show you a little troubleshooting in case you have a problem. So we're going to go ahead and select the star here. Okay, now if we look at the star here, which is more? Okay, the points on here are more wide, so I'm going to press wide. Then I'm going to go ahead and press mold 1. Well, that's not going to work very good for a mold because it's on the outside. Press number 2, like I said. Okay, that looks better, but the problem is if I turn it, when this star gets filled up with liquid and I try pulling it out, it ain't going to work because the way it's just not very good for molding. Hard to explain, but ain't gonna be able to pull any kind of if I put like a hard gel in there, it's just not gonna come out of the star correctly. So how can I fix this? So I'm gonna press paste to bring the star back out here. We need to slice this star a different way. If I press it 90 degrees, alright, I need to as it's facing towards me, now I have a left and right. Okay, now that's kind of like how I had the demo head facing towards me. I need a left side and a right side. Alright, before I press any of these buttons again, I'm going to need to come up here and I'm going to need to press copy tool. The reason why I do this is because when you press one of these buttons, it's going to paste back to the original position. Well, to make a long story short, not complicated, well, that's what you need to do anytime you change position, is copy it, because anytime I press any of these buttons here, it's going to paste that position. So let's get done with it and do this. Alright, that's not going to work because the star is on the outside. Let's go the other way. Alright, now we have our mode. Okay, this is how I made the star. Alright. So that's how the mode works. Alright, now if you look at the star and the box, okay. Alright, I have another box in there. The box that it's loading up, I think it's called the box 2. And I have another one there just called the box, and you can overwrite the other one with the name box 2 on there. And if you just don't like this box, the reason why I got this box with the lip on here is in case you want to put clamps on there when you're making your mold, so you can use that. Alright, another thing here on this mode is I got a lot of space in the back here, okay? And it's going to eat up quite a bit of printing time. You can go over here and go through deformation, and we can flatten that. Alright, there's going to be a flatten option to flatten the box. So if I'm going to control Z that. So if I do a minus, let's say 20, alright, it flattens the box up, less print time. So that was minus 20, and I select this one here. Then we'll add 20 to this one. And that was flattened. So one's going to be minus and one's going to be positive. So that's going to speed up a little bit of print time for you. Okay, I'm going to go over the next step. It's called thickness. As you can see, there's no thickness on this mesh here. Before I even move the slider, I need to come over to the tools and press copy tool. Because if I move the slider, it's always going to paste the same tool and add thickness to the same tool. Very important to select copy tool before you use this. So you can move it to the negative and add thickness. You can see now it's got thickness down here around the bottom rim. And if I didn't like that or whatever, I could just move it this way here. Too much bloating. All you gotta do is move the slider and it's gonna update. See if we can see a little bit better here. Alright, there you can see it. Alright, I'm going to be going over a few odd things here just in case you're interested. I'm going to hide part of this mesh and bring it out here. Alright, as I said earlier, this represents the print bed. Alright, now if you print this out, let's say I'm printing just this one piece here. If you really want to kind of see how it would look on your print bed, you can go through the deformation and press Unified. As you can see, it did not exceed past the print bed, the width and height. So see that? Bring that back and print that up. Earlier in the video, I was talking about that you can change out the mold box. You recall that I was making the mold out of using the Polymesh 3D Star. And I was telling you could change the box out because the one that it's loading is called the mold box 2 and it has a lip on her. You may not like that. You can try this one here. It's called the mold box right here. It doesn't have a lip. It's just a square box. But the thing that you need to do, you need to name it to mold box 2 because in the script it always loads the name mold box 2. Okay. If you want to try something different, you make your own box, just get rid of this one here and name your new one called mold box 2 and then it automatically load that back up. Okay, here's another little tip. We're going to turn the close hole off right here and we're going to split it right here and then we're going to hide part of this. As you can see that it did not fill in the hole. As I said earlier, you can go ahead and split this and it will fill in the hole. Alright, that's great. But the problem with this is, let's paste this one back. If you have this option off and you cut more than once, this is what's going to happen. So I'm going to cut it here. We're going to rotate it 90 and cut it here. This is one of the problems you might run into is if I control click this, because I'm going to end up wanting to split this, as you can see, because I'm going to fill this hole up. As you can see here, this is actually one group and I need to split this up if I want to close the hole for both of these separately. So what I'm going to do is go over to polygroup and group auto group here a minute, and we're going to have our own separate groups. So if I go over here and press split, okay, this is going to work, but we're going to have a slight little problem. Alright, what this does, it concaves the mesh, okay, is because it's got more than one cut and it's not closing the hole every time that I splice this. Okay, this is concave, not what I, well, between concave and non-concave, the concave I know takes longer to print out. So if we don't want the concave, I'll turn the frame on so you can kind of see that better. Let's paste this back, line that up. We're going to have to put the closed hole back on. All right. That way, if I click it here, give it a second, rotate it 90. Click it again, give it a few seconds, and we're going to have some nice straight cuts. Alright, this will print a lot faster. Then you can see that it's not concave. Alright, one more tip right here. Let's paste this back here. Now you can manually slice this up. Let's say we have the close hole off. Alright. We can drag, control, shift, click and drag wherever you want. If you want to manually do this. If you do not want concave, go ahead and press split and let it update. And anytime that you make a new drag here, as long as you're splitting right after you drag out, then you won't get no concave or shit. Have a nice flat like that. So that's if you kind of manually do it by yourself. Okay, I'm going to show you how to fix this if this doesn't work for you and you don't have the correct screen resolution. Basically what you'll do is go to the ZScript and you'll load this option. Okay, you'll be loading this from your desktop. Don't make it a plugin yet. It's called calibration. Okay, we're going to select here and select here. Now I'm going to come down here and drag this tutorial view window. Okay, don't get too low because you'll click something in the bottom ZBrush window and things will pop out of the screen. Kind of hard to explain, but it'll get a border around it and things are screwed up. Just make sure you click this up a little bit and you'll see a button here, and I'm going to drag it up a little bit more and you'll get a button here. What I want to do is I want to adjust this window. I don't want to click down here. I want to grab here and adjust this. As you can see, if I drag way up here, he's got these two buttons here. So I want to drag this down far as I can. It's going to give me some really good working space here. Till I make sure I see both these buttons. Alright, then I'm going to select here. It says ZW height. I'm going to click it. It tells me 82. Okay, we're going to select 82. Okay, I'm going to go back to the desktop where this calibration text is at. Like I said, do not put this in the ZPlug folder yet. As you remember, it's at 82. Alright, the top of the line here, it says far def Z window height. Alright, I think I said it was 82, so we'll put in 82. I believe that's what it said. Alright, then we're going to press file, then save. Then we're going to go back to ZBrush. Let me double check that. I think that was 82. Yep. Alright, to double check this, I'm going to go to ZScript and press reload. Okay. And how I'm going to know this is working correctly is if I move this window up and I press check. It's going to bring it down, and it's going to drop this tutorial view window down exactly where it needs to be at. Alright, what this did was it dropped this cube, and it was supposed to draw this line here at the top. Okay, as you can see, it grouped it way up here because our alignment is off. Alright, let's go ahead and undo that here. And we need to find out, we need to have it chopping right here at the top of the line here. Okay, so what we need to do is, we still got this open, and where's that at? Okay, it was at the bottom of the script, I'm sorry, and you'll see this line here between a bunch of these little brackets here. There's going to be a bunch of numbers here. We're going to concentrate on these here. They're all the same. Okay, 386, 383, 386, 386. We're going to adjust this. We're all going to make them all the same. Let's try 76. See what happens. File, save, go back to ZScript or ZBrush, ZScript, reload. Alright, now we're going to try it again. We're trying to match this top line here. We want it to splice right here. So check it. Alright, we're going to have to keep on doing this till it goes where I want it to. Let's try that again. Usually if you go real high or real low, it'll give you an indication which direction to go. And file, save. Let's get reload. We're going to check that. Well, it's getting higher. We need to do something else here. Just double check that one more time. I think we need to go the other way with the number. Let's try 90. Change them all the same. File, save. Press reload. I'm bringing this back here with the history if you wonder what I was doing. And we're going to check that one more time. Alright, it's getting closer to that line. We want it to go directly on that line. Okay, let's just say that's perfect. Okay, we're just going to use that example. That's perfect. Okay, so everything's all lined up. We want it on this top cube here and split it at 1 inch. So everything's going good. So what do we want to do next? Okay, there's actually 3 things we need to do. As you can see, it says the edit one right here. Alright, it says this one here says 78. Alright, let me swap this around here so you can see better. Remember, this one here is 82 and the calibration. So what we need to do is the one that says 82 and a calibration. We need to go over to the edit one and put the same one here. Alright, now if we open this calibration back up, go down here. Remember, we switched all these to 96. Alright, we're going to close that down, open the edit back up. Now there's going to be a couple spots. There's 2 spots you can see between the 2 brackets. So you need to change this one to 396, 396, and 396. And scroll down till you see them brackets again, and you'll see another set. Then change all these numbers: 396, 396, 396. So there's 3 spots you change. Okay, you will change the top one here, in between the bracket and the second one, and scroll down, you'll see another set of brackets that says transform set with a bunch of numbers, and you change it. So there will be 3 changes. Then once you're all done, then you'll follow and put these back in the Z plugin, and you'll be loading it through there. Now that we made our changes, I went a step back in the folder, and everything's all saved and everything's edit. You need to go to ZPlug, and you'll be putting the ZPlug edit in the startup plugin, and if that's where it calls for, and this folder like I showed you earlier with a 1920 by 1080. And then now you'll have your new edit one in here, so ZPlug ZSE and the folder will go in your plugin folder. If you're still having problems of how to figure this out, you might want to ask over the ZBrush Central that has an open source code in here. Maybe somebody can help you out or rewrite this. They're more than welcome to, because some of these codes I've got through other users. I think Marcus Civic, TVI I believe his name is, got some of this code. I got it fairly close how it kind of works. I think it could be a little bit better. So open source, if somebody wants to edit it and make it any better, you're more than welcome to. But anyway, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy it.